Hey, this is Shaleia
And Ethos.
from Awakened Intimacy. We're glad to be back. It's been a little while since we put out a video, so it seemed about time that we say, hey, what's up? So we have a really cool story that we wanted to share. Well, Andrew will be sharing it, but I'll just be introducing how we're talking about qualifying people who could be potential partners for a long-term soulmate relationship. And one of the patterns that I used to have in dating and relationships was jumping into bed prematurely before I could actually qualify the person for being a long-term compatible companion, when that was my initial intention. It depends what your intention is. If your intention is just to be cash and maybe get laid or whatever, then as long as that's agreed upon by both parties and everyone understands, that's fine. But I'm talking about jumping into early, having sex when I really wanted to also have this relationship work as a long-term partnership. So one of the things that I've had to learn is valuing my vagina. Sorry, where's this that one? It's really, in terms of what I consider the dating world, it's one of women's greatest assets in the fact of how we can filter out moths versus the butterflies. So what happened to me is eventually I would jump into bed too early, then I'd wonder why, oh shit, it's not really working out, why are they doing this, why is this happening, la 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 la. And one of the issues was I gave basically my whole self away so early in the relationship without really finding out if our values were aligned, if we had a similar intention for the relationship, if we were really compatible and complementary in the ways that matter most. Anyways, it's been a long road for me learning that, but I'm just going to stop now. I'm going to let Ender share from the male perspective, because there is a double standard in this culture where if you're a guy and you sleep around and get laid, it's not really that big of a deal. It's cool. It's whatever. But for women, it's like you're labeled a slut, a whore, whatever. Or if you don't sleep with guys, then you're like a prude and you're frigid and you're not cool or whatever. So that's a double standard, right? It's like there's no winning if you're a woman, but if you're a man, it's like you're winning when you're getting laid. So I thought Ender had a really good perspective on his experience on valuing his penis and making the choices that he made when it came to meeting women that were attractive or potential partners for him.
So Shaleia hit it right on the head. She said valuing your penis. That wasn't intended at all. Just kind of came out.
I had a heavy lunch. It's taking a lot of energy from my brain.
Yeah, so Shaleia was talking about valuing your vagina and ladies, like not giving it away too early. Yeah. And in our culture, it's okay for the guy to give it away early. There's no slut shaming on the guys. It's a pat on the back, way to go, bro. This dude's cool because he has sex with lots of different women. And I want to offer a unique perspective to the man. Because in my experience, I was never drawn to having sex with lots of women. Now, I was I felt pretty savvy with women. I could always understand what was going on inside of them. I was always able to have really good conversations with women and bring it sexual if we wanted to. But anytime I was with the wrong woman, the woman that I knew in my mind, in my heart, that she wasn't going to be right for me long term. I had no interest in her pretty much as anything outside of just having a friend.
Can you tell us about the particular story when you're at that festival with a really hot chick?
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
Just getting back on track here.
How hot woman didn't particularly interest you?
Well, no, hot women really did interest me. I love women. I've always loved women. I've always been interested in relationships with women. I was always, working on trying to get laid. But there was always something inside me that when it came close to like making a decision to sleep with this sort of woman, my heart of hearts said no. And I would develop these really deep relationships with these women, and we'd be getting intimate and we'd kiss, and I never want to take it past that point. And I always kind of berated myself, like, geez, am I not cool? Why am I not getting laid? Why am I not having sex with these women? But deep down, I knew I never really wanted to. When I look at the situation, I look back, I knew that I didn't have a deep desire to make love to these women. Now, I made love to really 3 women in my life, and they were all deep, intimate relationships. It was never a fling. I mean, I've had flings, and that's what Shaleia is asking me to tell you about. So let me tell you about the story. So I just get to Hawaii, right? I have, multi-thousand dollars in my bank account. I have this backpack. I have this cool vision. I have cool stuff. I have a whole lot of stuff, but I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm wolfing on organic farms. I'm going to start a business in Hawaii. And, 2-3 weeks in, I go to this rainbow gathering where there's all these cool hippie chicks there, and everyone's living off the land and sharing food and having a great time. So I'm there, right? I set up my camp. I came with my friends, and we're having a good time. And, second day in, and we're at, like, market time, and people are trading. And I sort of unconsciously, like, sort of labeling people, like, oh, there's that guy, and there's the dude with the crazy hair, and there's that chick with that weird thing, and there's the chick I'm really attracted to, and then there's that chick. And I want to put a note on, there's the chick that I'm really attracted to. Because she ended up being, like, by far the hottest girl at the rainbow gathering. She had really had it together, was very poised, absolutely beautiful, clear skin, clean hair, great smile, very bubbly, great personality, right? Most people would classify this chick as like a 10. Very beautiful in all ways. And she made jewelry, and it was just at the market I kind of happened upon her. She had the nicest jewelry there. And I started talking to her in this really magical way, and it was very short, and I really had my A game on. I knew how to flirt with women. I know how to flirt with women. I know how to make game happen. So I'm talking to her, and there's magic happening, and I get her to trade me one of her like $40, $70 necklaces for a lunch with me. And I was going to make her some, raw vegan sushi. It happened she was a raw vegan. Great, like sparks fly, right? I meet up with her, we're supposed to meet up later that day for lunch. And little did I know she was a raw vegan. She was starving. She didn't have any of this raw vegan food. Everything was cooked at the rainbow gathering. So I'm walking the beach to like go find her, and I see her, and I pass her, I'm like, there's no way it's that gorgeous naked chick on the beach. She's like laying down totally naked reading a book, and I'm like heart's pumping, right? Like, holy shit, what do I do? And I'm like, I'm just gonna walk right up to her. So I go up to her, and I'm like, hey, and she flips over, totally, totally nude, totally beautiful, and smiling, hey, I was just looking for you, just thinking about you, she says. I'm like, oh yeah, we're talking, we're flirting. I'm like, I got this fire. I take her to my fire. She throws some clothes on. Instant date, right? It goes pretty well. And at the end, we kiss or whatever. It was really good. But she's kind of just talking her head off at me, right? And just, opening up to all these negative things she was thinking. Oh, these are the people at the rainbow gathering, and they're not really that cultured. They're not really that, there. And, she thought she was saying things that would differentiate her from the crowd, which, it was obvious within a few words that she was very different than anyone else. But it was all this negative stuff she was throwing out, and she wants to travel, and she's telling me all about her friends and all these people that, she was just saying too much. She was taking advantage of my openness. She's like, oh, finally someone who listened to me, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, and, we created some magic. We had a really nice kiss at the end. And I was like, I'll catch up with you later. And she's like, we're at music festival. It's an acid. She has acid with her. She's like trying to line me up to do an acid trip with her, maybe have sex at the end of the night, and then she's gonna go travel to like Guam or something, the next day. So any guy would be like, I'm just gonna hang out with this chick, do free acid, have a great time, have sex, and then no strings attached, she goes away. But I'm like, is this chick really the woman that I'm looking for deep down? Is this chick really this chick? Of course it wasn't. And like I leave and I'm like feeling really excited, all these emotions, right? From this kiss and this raw vegan chick, and I was raw vegan at the time. It was this, magical experience. But in my head, I'm like, that's not really the chick for you. You don't actually really like her at all. I don't want to be around that girl. I don't want to go see her. Her energy vibe is too low. She's talking about the negative stuff. I don't even want to be in her presence, right? So it's like later on in the evening, the drums are going, it's a full moon, and I see her again, and I'm like, hey, I start to engage and hang out, but she's not really there with me, right? She's off in her own other pity party land, right? And there's other, her friends on the beach are like, see what's going on. They heard the story about this magical lunch. They're all excited for her and for me. And I'm like, I don't want to be around this girl. She's just so negative, right? And it's her friends like, don't you want to hang out? Don't you want to lay next to her? Isn't she beautiful? And I'm like, well, she is beautiful, but I don't want to lay next to her. So another guy like takes the opportunity to swoop in. And I'm like, I'm really kind of glad. I feel relieved that you're going to take her off my hands. Because I wasn't really into her. And this has happened to me many, many, many times where I'd have this magical moment with people, beautiful women, and then nothing would happen sexually. And I was blocking these consciously, mostly, because I knew that these weren't the women for me. And I was holding my value out sexually for the woman who truly was for me. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I had, I started to really lower my standards before I had my second actual sexual intercourse encounter with someone who I had a 2-month relationship with. But I wouldn't have had that sexual encounter had I stayed along my normal channels of holding to my own value. And I think so many men think it's so cool to fuck all these chicks, but you're giving parts of yourself away to every woman. And you're devaluing yourself to every woman. Yeah. And even if you bang some chick just for one night and she's kind of cute and you're kind of drunk and your boys are like, yeah, good job, you had sex, there's got to be something inside you that's like, I didn't really feel that good about that experience. We had sex and I got off and, I got to see her naked body and that was cool, and feel her and touch her and that was kind of cool, but there's really something much more sacred about sex than our culture and our society is letting on to. And that I intuitively knew throughout my dating experience by holding my value high. And I just want to say to guys, really think twice about who you're choosing to have sex with. Really think twice about who you're, and women, who you're choosing to engage the deepest parts of yourself with. Because you're giving yourself away really soon sometimes for a lot of you guys. And then you wonder why the relationship doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So I know that you've got a point to answer here.
Like some of you may be looking at me and saying, oh my gosh, how was it being with, dating a man who's had considered little sexual experience? And I just want to say, it doesn't really matter on the level of experience you have because it doesn't exactly make you a master lover. What matters for me is his loving intention. We don't need to be doing all these Kama Sutra techniques and, when we're talking about the basics of sex, it's not hard to put it in, And the first 2 inches inside a woman's vagina is the most potent because most of our nerves are there. So really, you only need 2 inches, although everyone's like, wow, and I mean, whatever. But
we're talking about penis size right now.
We're talking about penis size, and I'm saying, and I'm not indicating. It's not so much about the performance of the sexual experience as much as the deep level of satisfaction that comes from connecting your heart first, your mind, and then the bodies come last. And sex is always going to be mind-blowing. It's always going to be intimate. It's always going to be beautiful. It's always going to be a deeper and deeper level of experience as you open up to more and more loving. So, I mean, I come from a different background and a different experience than Ender, where I chose to have multiple sexual partners for many different reasons. And I have to agree that at the end of the day, in many ways, though I don't regret what I did and I don't take any of it back, I wish that I chose the path of having fewer partners. Because I feel like I devalued myself. I devalued my sex and my vagina. I felt taken advantage of in many situations. I also feel that when the relationship is so new and fresh, and then you infuse sex into there, it absolutely changes the relationship, and your emotions will cloud it. Your body and the hormones and chemicals become involved and triggered, and you're not always seeing clearly. So you could be engaging in a relationship that is unhealthy, dysfunctional, codependent, not based or aligned on your personal values. You may not even really have much of a true friendship before bringing sex into the picture. And what's really great is when you meet a man who says, look, I want to get to know you first before I share my body with you, hold on to him, because it means he is willing to love you for who you really are, and it also means that he really loves himself before giving one of the most important pieces of himself and herself away to that other person, because you can never take that back after it happens, as we know. And I think it also, when I've had multiple partners, it's impacted my body in many different ways, because I'm sharing not only whatever is going on in me, but whatever is also going on in them. So there are even times now in our sexual relationship where I'll need to take a few days break because I'm feeling stuff come up in my vaginal area. It's not like a physical thing per se, but I feel energy coming up that needs to be worked on and cleared. And some of it is, I think, because I also had previous partners, and that energy is being cleared. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I don't know, do you have anything to add, or you'd like to add?
No, I mean, we could talk about the subject for hours,
Yeah,
but we could just keep the video at 17 minutes and so
whatever,
many seconds,
yeah.
18 minutes.
So thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions or comments, please put it in the little box below. Check like and subscribe and pass on to your friends.
Sweet. We'll see you pretty soon at awakenintimacy.net.
This is Shaleia
and Ender.
Aloha.
Aloha.